Bengals corner Deltha O'Neal was expected to play for the first time on Sunday since he hurt his shoulder almost a month ago in the San Diego game. But, all that could change now that O'Neal has become the 8th Bengal arrested this year. O'Neal was picked up overnight, charged with driving while intoxicated after he was stopped at a Claremont County police checkpoint. He blew a .10 over the Ohio legal limit of .08. He is due to be in court on December the 12th. Well, with every game now so very important to the Bengals' playoff hopes, the matchup against the 2-10 Oakland Raiders could be a classic trap game, one that the Bengals could overlook while preparing for the Colts a week from Monday. Brian Giesenslok has more in our Saturday scoop.
To the right, 40, 35, hit, stays on his feet. Oh, my! On its way.
Just last week, it happened to the Chiefs and the Colts. Playoff contenders upset by teams with losing records. And that's the scenario the Bengals say they'll avoid when the 2-10 Raiders come to Paul Brown Stadium.
Oakland's a talented football team, and I think they're a better football team than what their record indicates right now. And they've had a lot of close football games. They've not necessarily been out of many games at all. And so they're coming in here. They got us circled. And so we have to play great football.
And the Bengals hope history doesn't repeat itself. The last time the team had extra time off, like it did this week, the Bengals came back and couldn't beat Tampa Bay, Cincinnati's only loss this season to a team with a losing record.
We've learned from Tampa. That's been our talk, going into this game. No letdowns what happened in Tampa because we have our backs against the wall and every game is important. So, no going back to Tampa. We got to keep pushing forward and learn from, the Tampa game.
So what makes the Raiders dangerous? It hasn't been the offense. In losing 5 straight games, Oakland hasn't scored more than 14 points. The team's best total all season has been 22. But the Raiders have been in most of those games because of a defense that ranks first in the NFL against the pass and has only given up 11 touchdowns in the last 8 games.
You can't think that they're 2-9 and their defense is rated so high because their record is bad and that they're watching them on film. They look as good on defense as we've seen this year.
This is what my thought. I hadn't seen Oakland in the past 3 years, and all I knew was we're coming to a game we playing man-to-man. And I'm thinking they must be getting toasted, getting beat all over the place. And watching film, man, they good.
Oakland's defense has scored 4 touchdowns. Only the Ravens and Vikings have been better. The most obvious weakness, though, teams have been able to run the ball. The Raiders give up an average of more than 130 yards a game on the ground.
We're just going to go out there with our game plan that we got. Coach them got a great game plan, and we're just going to try to execute and let Rudi get some yards in there.
Well, let's play great football for the next 4 weeks. We got to win 4 games, and win 4 games, and I think we'll have accomplished what one of our first goals is, and that's win the division.
Brian Giesenslaw, Fox 19 Sports.
Well, with the games at Indianapolis and Denver coming up, Bengals cannot afford to give this one away. Brian and Joe will be at Paul Brown Stadium with post-game reaction of the Bengals and Raiders. That'll be coming up on Sports Wrap Sunday night.
More than 50% of the magazine's staff and website users voted Oakland the worst team in the NFL. Other national outlets likely consider the Bengals the worst behaved team in the NFL, though. Deltha O'Neal, the second Bengal arrested this week, 8th this year, inactive for today's game. Marvin Lewis won't say if it's because he missed 3 weeks with a shoulder injury or because he's being punished for getting charged with a DWI. Sounds like
your strength against our strength. Pass defense, pass offense. I like to take our chance with the Bengals myself personally.
Everything I got.
What?
Everything I got.
What?
Everything.
You told me that the other day. I got to have it.
I got you. Hey, let's dominate and win this thing today in our backyard. Let's dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
Sounds like the guys are jacked, and they need to be. The 2-10 Raiders are laughable, but their defense is no joke. Nnamdi Asomugha picks Carson Palmer's pass intended for Chris Henry on the 3rd snap of the game. Lucky for the Bengals, the Raiders give it back very next play. Alvis Woodard fumbles Aaron Brooks' pass at the Raiders' 39. Jonathan Joseph, starting in place of O'Neal, strips and recovers the ball. Bengals march 61 yards down the field. Palmer hooks up with Henry on 3rd and 15. The 23-yard connection gives the Bengals the 7-0 lead in the first. That's Henry's 7th TD this year. Raiders miss an opportunity to get on the board as Sebastian Janikowski misses his 7th field goal this season. The 51-yard attempt bangs the upright. Emphasis on Rudi Johansen early, 6 carries for 33 yards on the Bengals' 3rd series, capped with a 9-yard rushing score for his 9th touchdown on the season. Rudi's just 8 yards shy of 1,000 yards for the season at this point, 14-zip Cincinnati. Second quarter inside the 30, Brooks pass to Randall Williams, tip, knocked in the air and picked. That's Brian Simmons' 2nd interception of the year, team number 17. The home team appears to be en route to capitalizing on the turnover. Next play, Palmer passes deep middle to Chad Johnson, the 42-yard pickup, the first 40-plus pass against the Raiders this season. But again, a turnover turns into another turnover. Rudi on the 1-yard rush loss. He loses the ball, his 8th career fumble, 5th lost. Scott Schweigert recovers Raiders ball, but Oakland goes 3 and out. Next series, ugly ball continues. Asomugha picks Palmer a 2nd time. This one, the unbelievable one-hand grab meant for CJ. Amazing catch, can't say it enough. You can see Chad stop short. Perhaps he miscommunicated with Carson on the field, but the duo make sure to talk about it on the sidelines after the play. A little heated, but no big deal. Robert Gathers drops Brooks a 2nd time today, reaching the 10.5 mark. Becoming the first Bengal to have a double-digit sack performance since Alfred Williams in '92. The drop on 3rd down forces a Janikowski field goal. Bengals 14-3 at the break. Rudi surpasses the 1,000-yard mark for the season in the 3rd quarter, getting his 2nd touchdown on the day 2. 32 walks across the goal line on the 6-yard score. This is his 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard season, orange jerseys with the 18-point advantage. Oakland pulling out the go-for-it card on 4th and 1. Should have known when to fold him. Big Sam Adams doesn't just stop Rashard Lee, drops him for a 3-yard loss. Extra piece of dessert for Sam tonight, and give Palmer a cookie for the sweet pass here. TJ Hishmanzada turns a short middle pass into a 21-yard gain, setting up the wide-open touchdown to TJ. He beats Fabian Washington, and like Rudi, walks in the zone. TJ 8 catches for 118 yards, his 8th touchdown, receiver's high. Shane Graham misses the PAT. Bengals lead 27-3 though. Oakland converts on 7 of 14 3rd down attempts today. 4th quarter, Brooks connects with Ronald Curry on 3rd and 11. He turns a short pass into a 35-yard pickup. Kevin Case-Faharn pushes him out of bounds at the Cincinnati 31. Raiders close enough to get something other than a field goal. Brooks rolls right, going back to Curry. 5-yard passing TD. Raiders back of the Bengals. 17 points, 5 minutes left in the game. Carson flushed out of pocket, runs right, missing TJ in the end zone, finding Washington instead. His 3rd pick of the game, 11th on the season. Ugly, 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 but does that really matter if the Bengals get it done? Case-Faharn drops Brooks for a 7-yard loss. The 4th sack of the game as the Bengals get their 8th victory on the season.
They can't cover us. I told you before the game. Their strength against our strength. Look like we're a little stronger.
The 27-10 Bengals win makes it 4 in a row for the Bengals for the first time this season. 3 offensive players have 100-plus games for the first time in franchise history. Rudi 30 carries for 117 yards. TJ got a game-high 118 yards. And Chad turns 5 catches into 101 yards. Carson 20 of 28 for 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Another offensive explosion, but another solid defensive effort. The Bengals held the Raiders to 10 points despite turning the ball over 4 times. Rashad Jeanty, this week's leading tackler, with 9. The offensive line absolutely can't be ignored. Bobby Williams is back. Eric Guychek played despite an injured knee. And Big Willie and company not giving up a sack, giving Rudi lots of room to run.
We all take pride in our jobs, and our job is to give Carson time, to give a running game going. And I told you guys, once that continuity got there, and these young guys start to play a lot more games together, these kind of games will come back. And I think during the streak, our young guys in particular have played better, and you've seen us winning football games and scoring points.
They kept the pressure off Carson. They did a great job of pushing up front, give me running lanes to pick and choose, make different cuts and stuff like that. So, overall, those guys in front played a great game. Plus JJ, he played a great game of blocking people all day. Just off the skill people, we just got to take care of the football better. That's something that we'll do.
We need to do a better job of taking care of the ball. We had 1 fumble, but when you give the other team 3 interceptions, when you're playing better teams, they capitalize off of that.
We peaking at the right time, man. We peaking at the right time, and especially going in, this is a big win. Take the momentum going into this game. Take it down to Indy next week, and
I know I'm a little ahead of myself, but once we get past Indy, man, I think we kind of home free. I don't care what nobody says.
It was a shootout last year. This year, it's not going to be a shootout. I can promise you that. So, I mean, I think as long as we come out and do like Coach Bresnahan and Marvin and everybody want us to do, control what we can control and let everything else play out.
Richard Skinner, 1530 homer, the sports animal. John Jackson, former Bengal gentleman in the house. This one, it's hard to say the win's tough to watch, but this one was probably a little tough to watch, wasn't it? John, I'll start with you.
It was ugly. It was ugly, but it was nice because they needed this game, and they came out and got on real early. I think if they would have let them continue to be in the game, it would have been a game, but it really wasn't a game.
Yeah, I mean, that interception, that first interception scared me because I thought, oh, boy, they're going to let them stay in this football game, and voila, the defense turns them right back over. And, yeah, from that point, once it became 14-0, honestly, you could have done any yard work and you really wouldn't have missed anything. No offense. I'm sure for you, you're even wondering, golly, there's still 11 minutes to go in the third quarter?
This was a difficult game to call just because there never seemed to be any flow within it. And it's an unusual game because you don't see a Carson Palmer game like this very often. In asking that, they go to 8-5. There are all positives. They continue to stay in the spot that they are playoff-wise that they need to be. Are there concerns to come out of this game? John, I want to ask you from a former player standpoint. It is tough to get up for every game. This is a game that it may be difficult to get up for because you're in between the Ravens and you're in between a Monday night game. Should you understand that it's tough to get up for this game and play like they did?
I think they understood that it was tough to get up, but they had definitely understand it. They had to go in there and put 14 points on the board and make it a little easier. Yeah, it was a boring game, but I think that now they can think about it like it's over. And, you know, think about Marvin's press conference.
What I mean is there reason to be concerned over some of the things that we saw against this very bad team?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Carson Palmer throwing 4 interceptions, it's not going to happen.
Well, just three.
Yeah, and I think that's the
four turnovers. Yeah.
You know, overall, it wasn't sloppy. It was Carson being sloppy with a couple of decisions and one great. I mean, the one interception, the one-handed one was all the defensive back. That was a great play. So no, I mean, because you know that Carson, when he needs to be focused, is going to be just fine. It wasn't like there was a ton of penalties, ton of stupidness. You know, you got a 100-yard rusher, a couple of 100-yard receivers. You know, you still had a lot of good things that came out of this.
And Rudy never puts the ball on the ground.
Exactly.
So there are things that
rarity there
happen today as guys get maybe uninterested in this. And then I want to go immediately to talking about the Colts, and we talk about the NFL all around. But this team that played unbelievably poorly today to Jacksonville. Is there reason for the Bengals to have increased optimism going into a Monday night game?
Well, I think that they know that Indy's right now is struggling, but they've got to come up with their own solutions because they didn't play as well as they've normally played. But I think they've got to go in and say, this week, we hope that the old Indy doesn't come back.
Yeah, but you know what, though? Again, you're a bad team defensively when you go up 375 yards, which is what the Colts did today. Granted, Bob Sanders, I know their strong safety didn't play, from what I understand, so that's a factor. But, you know, we saw Rudi run the ball pretty effectively today. It wasn't in large chunks, but it was just, you know, continuing to get 3 yards here, 4 yards here, 3 yards here. I give it to him, you know, they gave it to him 30 times today, Brad. I give it to him 45 times Monday night, if indeed they show that they can't stop the run. And I'd maybe even give it to him more than that if he wants it.
They probably can't give it to Rudi more enough.
Well, this is an offense that is clicking on that balance side.
Absolutely.
So they do whatever they seem to want to do and put whomever they need to put into the offensive line. Guychek makes it out of this one relatively good, you know, without Wilkerson having to step in only in garbage time. At this point, you may have some more people back. My guess is at this point you're not going to see Richie Braham by the end of this regular season. And if you don't see him by the regular season, you make the playoffs, there's probably no reason to see Richie Braham this year.
No, I would say that's probably a good point. And Guychuk, you know, 4 weeks ago we were worried about him. You don't worry, but now you worry when he's not in there. You know, we were worried, is Ben Wilkerson going to have to start this game?
Well,
what kind of factor would it be?
He's got the experience
He
now.
does. I mean there's no question. He hasn't missed a beat.
The games that he played, I mean, you go against Baltimore. I mean, that right there was one of those showcase games. He got a little dinged up. He comes back this week. He does a better job.
Okay, let me talk about the off-the-field stuff because it really doesn't get talked about that much because Marvin Lewis doesn't want to talk about it that much. Deltha O'Neal's picked up. That's 2 in the week. It makes 8 Bengals. Unfortunately, I don't care what the situation is, it ends up being fodder for the national news, and it becomes a reputation about this team.
But Brad, the one thing I feel sorry about is the players who are down there doing what they're supposed to be doing, because there are a lot of guys down there that are really great guys, but now you've got 3 or 4 guys who aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, and now the team's suffering. It suffers on the national media, but in the local media too. And they've got to understand that the Bengals are doing the right things, but just a few people making stupid mistakes.
So you're Marvin Lewis. You sit him down today. What do you do beyond this? Is there anything else that goes in? You leave it alone?
Yep.
You have to.
Absolutely. I let the, again, if the courts take Delth O'Neal away from you, then you let the courts take him away.
If the league does something, you let them do what they have to do.
If the league does it. But if not, he plays on Monday night. Because you know why? You need him Monday night. You maybe didn't need him today.
Well, we're agreeing on something.
I know, this is one of the rare times. You didn't need Delth O'Neal today. And so hence you can make a little bit of an example today if that's why he made him inactive. And you got to probably think that was why he made him inactive today. But you need him Monday night. Because without him, you're going up against good receivers that you need every hand on deck. So he's going to play Monday night.
And as a coach, you're okay just leaving it as is with 8 guys and continuing to say as guys leave, don't let me get another phone call?
I mean, I think that he's going to have to do something, but it's going to be in-house. I mean, I think we're not going to hear about it until he actually does it. I mean, Marvin's the type of person, he's not going to tell you in advance. He's just going to go ahead and do what he needs to do.
And Brad, everybody brings this up, but I guess the question is, what do you want? Do you want him to cut Chris Henry eventually? Do you want him to cut a Delth O'Neal eventually? You don't, because they're good players and they help you win games. And at the end of the day, right or wrong, reputation or no reputation, this is still about wins and losses.
But I think they cut themselves eventually. And what I mean by that is they're going to do enough to screw up where he's going to have to get rid of him.
Or in the case of Chris Henry, hopefully he's learned it. He pushed it as far as he can push it, knows that he can't push it anymore.
That's a big hope. That's a big hope.
No, it is.
Well, in terms of Chris Henry, he gets only a couple of catches today, but he is a touchdown guy. Is this offense figured out that you only have to use certain guys in certain situations? Because Oakland pretty much played man-to-man before they came in against the Bengals. They may have played 60% man-to-man today, if that, at this point, and the Bengals are going to burn teams that are going to play one-on-one. So this offense seems to have figured out it's nice that you can spread the ball around, but it doesn't have to spread it around as much because in certain situations he knows exactly who's going to be open.
That's a great thing to have. I mean, when you can mix and match your personnel and kind of dictate your personnel to the opposition, you got them on their heels. And that's where, there's some teams that Chris is going to have 5 catches against. There's some teams he may not have any catches against. There's some teams where Cleveland took Rudi out of the mix a few weeks ago. What happened? The passing game was great. You just have so many weapons to scheme against right now, Brad.
We are probably going to get another chance to talk before we do this, but I'll let you make this pick, and if we get another week before we talk again, you can change your pick if you want. Do they win Monday night against Indianapolis?
All the good things I've said, I don't think they do. I will say it's more realistic today than it was 5 weeks ago to think they were going to go to Indy and win. But you know what? Indy's still a good football team. They had a bad day today. They had a freaky loss last week. The 60-yard field goal was a freaky way to lose a game. They've had some strange things happen. They're not playing great football, but I think backs against the wall on a Monday night, they're dangerous. It's that old you've backed a scared dog into a corner.
Are their backs as much against the wall as the Bengals?
Their backs aren't against the wall as much as the Bengals. I think the Bengals
but they're at home.
A must. Yeah, they're at home. But this is a must game where if the Bengals lose, they're out of it. And now it's a lot easier getting up with the Colts.
Not necessarily out of it, but they feel that way.
But not necessarily. But it's a lot easier getting up for the Colts than the Oakland Raiders. And they'll be up for this game.
All right, he's giving them till Wednesday off. So it'll be an interesting week as we get ready for this one. Tara, we'll send it back to you.
It's just one of those nights. Thanks for bearing with us. Problems with our graphics tonight, but here are your poll results. Which component from today's game is most critical to beat the Colts next week? 39% say Rudi running. 32% go with the dangerous receivers, and 29% are going with the defense. Thanks to the hundreds of votes that we got tonight.